The Film Slice crew review Men in Black. They're in other countries though, not just New York. We're international now. We're going. Also it's Thor and the chick that's in Thor, Valkyrie. That's Men in Black.
The wrong one.
That's
Men in Black. Men in Bond.
You're doing James
Here we go.
Bond.
Hey, Dave, Angus, Strachan here, and welcome to the Film Slice
Podcast.
I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Kane Diggly Wiggly Kane Dogs,
Thank
the
you.
man formerly known as Brody Broman Riches, this week known as B.
Agent B.
Nope, just B.
This week we are reviewing Men in Black International. Kane Dogs, you want to whip out that IMDb summaries for us?
Absolutely, I can. All right. The Men in Black have always protected the Earth from the scum of the universe. In this new adventure, they tackle their biggest threat to date, a mole in the Men in Black organization.
It's
It's a really... You think just some foundation would cover that up.
Yeah, it's a blind date.
It's like a bit of a zit.
When did you see the movie, what'd you think?
When did you see the movie? What did you think? Do you like the movie? None of the shit. I saw it yesterday and I thought it was right shite.
Right.
Right.
Right, thank you, B. Kane Diggity.
Yeah, I saw it on Saturday, which is a couple of days ago, and I thought it was
Saturday.
fine to less than fine.
Awesome.
Came out of it somewhat optimistic, and that's really deteriorated.
Thanks, Kane Diggity. Over to me, and
Diggity.
I thought, yeah, it
Should have
was.
been diggity me.
It was pretty rubbish, and it was a bit patronising. I don't remember the first Men in Black being so like.
First Men in Black is
patronising
so good.
plot-wise.
Did you go back and watch the first? Did either of you watch the
No,
first?
I never liked
No,
it as a kid.
but I still
Loved it.
Like, I remember it as a good movie, and I'm happy remembering it as a good
still
movie.
is, which is good. And
I think this film was generally meant for a smaller audience.
Small audience,
in
not
stature.
younger,
Not
it's
younger,
just a smaller audience.
just shorter people.
Yeah.
Genetically smaller people.
So Angus, you
will
should like
us.
this more than me and Brody do. Then, got him.
Lads, you know how every week I put up on Instagram? I definitely didn't do it this week.
Yep.
So,
Okay, good, great. I'm really
Kane
glad.
Dogs,
Yeah.
how'd you go on Facey?
Yeah, I remembered. First, on to Brody. How's Twitter going, man?
Twitter's pretty solid.
Cool.
How are they? Things are right between you two.
Can't really talk about it, Jordan.
Oh, okay. Maybe later.
Nah, they've specifically asked me not to
I too
say anything to you.
specifically can't say anything about Instagram. It's
Instagram.
confidential.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, Facebook is open for the world to see. And I checked up, had they seen it and what do they think? And
Yep.
we got Nathan Sklinick, and he says, sorry, haven't been around in the past couple of weeks, guys. Still catching up. Is Gordo still around, or have we finally gotten rid of him? We have gotten rid of him, but Fappo's filled in.
Fappo's
He's doing a
still here,
he's doing a
and,
fantastic job.
Couldn't be having a
Good
worse
job,
time.
guys.
He's doing a great job.
And that's it? That's all we got?
I did see
Bang.
the movie
Wow.
with the GF
Another
and
segment.
she...
Don't do this.
Saw the movie with the GF, and she was also somewhat disappointed walking out of the film. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she was with you.
Fair.
Yeah.
Oi,
It's largely. She was like, let's sit at the
What are
back
you
of the
doing?
cinema. But I was
Bullseye.
like, no, not for a Men in Black film. Can't do it, babe.
So
Check
she
it.
sat at the back and you
She
sat
sat
at
at
the
the
front?
back, and I sat at the front. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. Sweet. I also saw it with my GF, and she was very indifferent to it. So that's a little...
To you or to the film?
Both.
Ooh, rough weekend for
Yeah, no, God,
for
we're
the
not-
film slice relationships. Well,
Lads-
would you recommend this movie, and who would you recommend it to?
Would you recommend it? Who would you recommend it to? Who'd like to go?
Yeah, look, if you really love Chris Hemsworth and you're on board with all of his comedy and all of that, sure, this movie's one of those kind of films, but I don't think it has much payoff for anything else.
I reckon Chris Hemsworth really just phoned it in.
Phoned
on
it
this
in?
One.
I think everyone did.
Yeah, I don't think that he really pushed himself too much.
You know who really clearly went out of his way to get into the role? Liam Neeson. He really threw himself in. He really became a chameleon of the role. You can barely recognize him as Liam Neeson in this movie.
That
He's
is
really,
true. That is
real
true.
chameleon of an actor, that guy.
Like, is that Liam Neeson?
Is that I had to wonder. I had to Google it when I got out to make sure it was him.
B, would you recommend it? Who would you recommend to?
I would not recommend.
You're buzzy.
You're buzzy.
Yeah, buzzy.
No, we used that one. That's great. I would not recommend it to anyone, unless they were also a buzzy. Nah. It was just shit. It was just a shitty film.
Yeah.
I
think if
would
you're
recommend this to
looking for-
anyone. And to who?
If you're
No
looking
one.
for
I feel like there were some nugs. There
you're
were
looking
little
for a good
nugs
time-
of good times.
If you're looking for a good time and you
Go
don't...
see any of the other films.
But if you don't, like, have an affinity
John Wick's
for...
still playing.
Yeah, me and Brody went and saw that again. And
Yeah,
it
we
was
saw John Wick a
so-
second time.
And it was so good.
It was great.
Anyway, Angus, next segment.
Right, didn't know what I wanted to think. Okay.
You already
Yeah.
do the what did you
Would
think?
you recommend it, Angus?
Angus, would
I
you
would
recommend
so
it?
to whom?
No, I would recommend it
He'd
to
wreck it.
anyone
He'd
that
wreck that
doesn't
film.
want to spend a lot of
Money.
effort
Oh.
on movies. Like, it's not it's easily a movie that you can just kind of sit back in, just watch
I
for
think
the
it's
sake
a
of watching.
Netflix
and
in
like,
the background kind of film. Chuck it
Yeah.
on, cook.
But,
No,
like,
if
dishes
you're
or
watching
whatever.
something on Netflix,
That-
then they're probably going to have the first Men in Black on there or whatever.
Or the
right?
rest of the John Wick films.
Or
Yeah,
the other John Wick
That-
films, which are also on Netflix. 1
I-
and 2 are on
Yeah,
Netflix now. Go watch it.
Go watch them.
I do think that this Men in Black is definitely more catered to the younger crowd. So
Yeah.
it might be a good... Like, it might be a good ploy to get younger kids in on the franchise, to introduce them to Men in Black 1 and 2.
Are Men in Black cool in this movie? Though, like the coolest, like what was great about the first Men in Black is they were cool. Like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones were cool. Like they were the definition of cool back then for me. And I don't think they really did that in this film. I don't think any child's gonna walk out being like, "Oh, the Men in Black are so cool."
No.
They're weird, they're goofy, and because they decided to be
Yeah,
like, "There's a
that's true.
mole in the Men in Black," kids
Yeah.
that go in don't know what that means. So this is a weird movie that you have to have seen the first 3 to sort of understand, and also it's aimed at people that have never seen the first 3.
to introduce them into the
Yeah,
thing.
it's like you'll only get it if you've seen the first 3, but also here's one for if you haven't
So
seen the first 3.
that's exactly who we recommend it to. Anyone that hasn't seen the first 3 but knows
But knows about the first
And
3.
doesn't
yeah.
want to watch a
and
good
doesn't
film.
want to watch a good film and is also young but not too young. So there you go.
There you go.
Boom.
If that's you,
that is
But
you,
if you hit all those boxes, you should probably go see Toy Story.
If that's you, go see John Wick.
No matter what the situation is, there's a better film to watch
Yeah,
than this
yeah.
one.
yeah. Sweet. All right. Is there anything else that we want to say before we head into spoilers?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. Okay, cool. Let's head into spoilers. Sound the alarm.
Oh, what a cool sound effect, Angus.
All right, we're in the spoiler section where we dissect and divulge everything about the film. You've been warned. May God have mercy
Shane.
on your Shane.
We know you're listening. Anyone called Shane, we know you're listening.
Any cinema dicks? Start us off.
I don't have a cinema dick, but I have a dick cinema.
Ooh, okay. What happened?
Well, I also have cinema dicks, but
It's
lights
just a-
flashing, talking,
it's a
phone,
cinema shaped
the-
like a dick.
The standard.
Standard dick.
The standard.
Yeah.
Standard dick.
But the dick cinema for this week is, in a bunch of these films, they get car sponsors. So they have like a car.
Yeah.
But they play an ad for the car before they show the movie. But the ad for the car has clips from the movie in it.
Scene
Yeah.
of the-
Yeah, so there was just moments like they just showed an ad for
Probably the
for
best
new,
joke in the film is spoiled in that ad.
for the new
yeah.
Lexus, and they
Yeah.
just have a couple of clips of the movie, and it's just like and then you watch the movie and you see those things happen. It's just like
It's like it's the
they
exact
just spoiled
same.
the movie before the movie during this movie
happened to
session
me.
at the cinema.
That was like when I went and saw Endgame, and right before Endgame, they played the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, and there was
Yeah.
like 3 people in the cinema. That was like,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, it's one,
So-
well, also in one of the other Marvel movies, they did it. I
Yeah.
can't remember which one,
Yeah.
but they advertised a car that they used in the movie, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, we just saw a bunch of scenes from the movie.
I think that was Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, probably.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because they used that SUV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. So yeah, fucking dick cinema.
Dixie.
I had a kid that would not sit down.
Yeah.
And look, it's not the kid's fault, but the parents should tell them to sit down. Happy for the kid to go, I'm happy for him to be loud, I'm happy for him to, do a whole bunch. But the kid was like, he was in front of us, and where he was that railing section. So he was like standing up and like leaning on the railing. And it's like, look, mate, bring your
push him
kid,
off.
he can have a good time, but tell him to sit the fuck down, alright? Because I'm going to knock his bloody block off.
Oh,
Angus,
Jesus.
do you have a,
I think we should be.
do you have a cinema dick or a dick cinema?
I actually don't. It was it wasn't my usual cinema. It was a lot more emptier than usual. Yeah, no problems really. Besides
yeah.
the ad, I saw the ad. I was like, I hope that's not in the movie.
Yeah,
and then when
it's
it was
so
in the
annoying.
movie, I was like,
Yeah.
No.
it's the exact same thing that I saw. It's like someone's just pressed fart forward.
Just fart forward.
Fart forward. Everybody knows that classic button on the remote.
Yeah,
Grab that fart forward
Fart
button
forward.
and just
Yeah.
chuck that one.
everyone knows you fart backwards.
Jeez,
Well,
what
it's
is this podcast?
I don't know. I really
Is
don't
this
know.
when we start to go downhill? Is
is our
this
demise.
the beginning of the end?
Yeah, this is when we're like all just
We've
tripping on
pitched-
drugs and This is
thought
before
we
we
weren't
go
gonna
into
mention that.
rehab.
We peaked at fame. We peaked at fame with the Endgame one. We had 5 people right in. It's
We're
all
now going to
downhill from there.
start sleeping with our producer who's going to take advantage of us.
Isn't Angus our producer?
You our producer.
We're all going to start
So,
sleeping with me.
Is Angus
all
just...
3 of us.
Angus is trying to subtly ask us to sleep with him.
Do a
We're
three-way.
all going to start sleeping with your producers.
Angus just kind of subtly under the rug just there, just kind of threw out the
Trying to
notion that he kind of wants a threesome with us.
Proposition to threesome.
Okay,
Subtle, but we still picked up on it.
interesting. It's a rough podcast.
It really is a rough
It's a rough copy. We're doing a better one next week, we promise. What are we doing next? Oh, Toy Story. You know what? The one after that's probably...
If you're listening to this one, just stop and go back.
Yeah.
What was that one of our
Maybe
good
don't.
ones? What
John
was it?
Wick was a good one.
John Wick was a good
Rocketman
podcast.
was a pretty good
You
podcast.
can go back to listen to John Wick.
Go to those. Skip this one and the next one, and if you're listening to this one, skip the end of this
jeez.
one. Skip the
maybe
Toy
don't.
Story one. Head to Far From Home.
All right, sweet. Let's head into our positives. Let's go into our positive. Most positive thing about Men in Black International. Cane Dogs.
I'll start. I didn't know Angus was actually going to... that was an unintentional one. But
Got him nonetheless.
Got him. Yeah. I mean, my feelings are still hurt.
I have none. Over to you, Jordan.
Oh, okay.
I actually did... I thought about it, and I was just like, nah.
Okay.
I've got one.
I've got one too.
The intro to this movie, I really enjoyed because
me too,
it was
actually, yeah.
it was the same as the intro to the first 2 films, and they didn't do it for the third one.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool. And when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this one's going to be good." They've learnt from the third one,
Yeah.
to keep because obviously the hardest thing about doing a sequel is keeping
Similar
the tropes
enough
and
to-
the familiarity of the first films that were successful without retreading it to the point of it being boring or rehashing.
Yeah.
And that's going to be something that people will
It's a
always
fine
struggle
line.
to do. And so Men in Black 3, in my opinion, didn't nail that. It had a very different vibe from the first 2 films. This one, very much the same. Didn't really nail it for me. But I thought they had, because when they started with that dum, dum,
Yeah.
and they, the James Bond thing.
Yeah.
And then when they
Yeah.
started with that, that very particular font, that
yeah.
for me is just so reminiscent
Yeah,
of watching.
yeah.
I used to have it on the first film on VHS.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, the credits for the first film go
Yeah.
for 20 minutes. So
And it's
so
following, a
reminiscent to watch
mosquito
it all.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, so really enjoyed that. It's my positive.
Totally agree. When I sat down and the movie started, it was that font that
Yeah.
ticked me off. I was like, oh, yeah.
This-
I
yeah,
remember
really
this.
got me
Yeah.
excited for it.
Yeah. So whoever did the font,
Yeah.
good job.
Yes. Good on him.
In terms of other positives,
Clearly, you didn't work on the rest of the film.
in terms of other positives, again, it's pretty hard to find something that's stand out really good. There was a few jokes that I didn't
That
mind.
sentence.
That there was that scene where Chris Hemsworth picked up a hammer. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's,
So that was in the
that's fine.
trailer?
It was
That's
in the
funny.
trailer, and they made more of an emphasis in the trailer because they had a speaker saying stuff.
Oh, really?
Or they had an extended version of that scene where it's just
Right.
where he talked about how
Yeah.
it's not the tool that you use, it's how you wield it, and it's boom 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 boom.
Yeah,
while
I
he
was gonna
lifts the
say-
hammer up, and he's boom 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 boom, and then he throws it, and the other guy catches it, and it's it was a big moment in the trailer. In the film, he just picks up a hammer and throws it at the guy.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
what if
And it's
been
not like a
great.
big
See,
thing.
I didn't actually see the trailer, so that was new for me in the film. I was like,
There you go.
that's a nice
In
little
the
nod.
trailer, they make it a much bigger thing, and it's funnier in the trailer
Yeah.
because
They
they,
could've-
make it that much
Okay.
more of an emphasis.
They
that
could have gone to
he's
the
Thor.
effort to try to, Chris Hemsworth could have been like, "Hey guys, look, I'm making another film. I know it's your studio and whatnot, but do you think you could lend us the Thor, the Avengers theme? We only want to use it for a small
There is
reference.
No
to
way
your
in
film."
hell Disney
How
would
great
do
would
that.
it have been when he picked it up, though?
Yeah,
to have
true.
just that Avengers theme play.
I would have loved it if they just did more of that sort of stuff, referencing to other films.
Yeah, other pop
Thing is-
culture stuff. Yeah.
Because other than that, this film had no good jokes or
Yeah,
jokes or
no-
anything in it.
not
That was
really.
the closest one that I thought this could have been funnier, and it was funny in the trailer. If they did more of the stuff in the trailer, this would have been a funny moment.
It could
They could have done more
It could have
stuff
been
like
a good
this.
film, but it still wouldn't have been a good Men in Black film. I
Yeah.
don't want, because Men in Black isn't about referencing a bunch. It's not meant to be a pop culture. We'll reference everything that's cool at the moment kind of thing. Will Smith isn't there just listing off other great films and stuff.
But they've got Michael Jackson and stuff they do have
They-
pop
yeah,
culture references,
but
they don't. They're not
It's not so on
dabbing
the
down the
nose.
street.
Yeah.
They're yeah.
I just would have preferred a funny film to what we got.
Yeah.
So
You
what
know,
you're saying is
like,
you would have
e-
preferred a good, not Men in Black movie.
Even if it was something completely different, if it was funny, it would have been better than because this is the most I've got this as my negative. I'll go into my note. I wrote, this film was the most grey, tasteless, ordinary biscuit of a film.
Yeah, I was going to say, bland is probably
so
the best
bland and nothing.
word.
It's like, we're going to forget about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, it was just such a nothing film. It
I
just
forgot
went
about it
in
while I
one
was
ear.
watching it.
Yeah, you know what? Even though that was a joke, Jordan, I actually feel that way. There was so many times where I was watching it and I would just like, I would like have like a...
Where am I?
I would eat...
What's my name?
I was eating some Pringles and I was just like, oh, there's some fucking good Pringles. And I was like, oh, that's right, Men in Black.
That's funny because me too. Like we watched that, then we went home, watched another movie, and when I was driving to the podcast, I was like, I swear we did Elton John last week. Like Rocket Man was last week. What did I watch? I swear I watched it yesterday.
Was there a part of you that was like, oh, did I not watch the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I've clearly missed something.
What was the film that you went home and watched as like a palate cleanser?
Oh, we watched it's that the Netflix comedy that's Rebel Wilson. It's like
and Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah, Liam Hemsworth. Yeah. Liam Hemsworth. Not good.
No.
Not good. Yeah.
This film, the entire time I was watching this film, I was like, oh, it'd been so fun to make this film. Yeah, if you were Tess or Chris and you were just filming this stuff, going to like different places in like the Mediterranean and stuff like that, or going to London or France, that would have been so
Sahara?
much. Was it the
fun.
Sahara? Oh, yeah, and going down the desert.
Yeah.
Although I have a feeling that a lot of that would have been CG'd.
Yeah, probably.
Sticking with positives before we trash this film. Rafe Spall, who was the guy who played the supposed guy that you'd think would be the bad guy, the mole, the guy that you think would be the mole.
Oh, the other guy.
So the guy who's just a bit of a dick. Really enjoyed
the
it.
guy who isn't a dick and actually has very valid concerns about the Men in Black.
Yeah.
You mean that guy?
The guy who's definitely the only person who should be working at the MIB at this point. I actually really enjoyed his character, and as you said, Brody, he made really valid points. So every time he was on, I was like, yeah, you guys should listen to him more.
Yeah,
but there was a weird feeling because like it felt like in those detective films where you're only like there's only one smart detective that you follow, and he always walks up to the police force and he's like, why are you sending the men into the building? Blah, blah, blah. And you're always like, yeah, you should listen to this guy. He was like that, but we were meant to not like him. And I was really confused because every time we walked on, he's like, so you guys just thought you'd trash this whole city for no reason?
He is the John McClane of Men in Black.
And Chris Hemsworth
and they're just not listening to him.
And Chris Hemsworth's like, what a dick. I'm like, no, you should listen to this guy.
No, he's
making
a lot of sense. And Liam Neeson's like, he's our best man. Like, I'm your best guy. You should listen to this guy. What are you talking about? I thought he did a fantastic job of being a very likable asshole to the point where he wasn't even an asshole.
Yeah.
I did like he's a good actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff where he's played similar roles and he's always really good at them.
Yeah,
I really did like the opening scene with Chris Hemsworth and Liam Neeson.
Yeah,
like maybe like just going up in the elevator and him getting knocked down from the elevator and like climbing back up. That is exactly what this whole movie should have been like.
Yeah. It was also a much more interesting setting than a lot of the rest of the film, right? Because Men in Black is such a boring setting because it's basically just like a white, like super clean place that's basically entirely CG.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very boring to look at. And then all of the other locations were real world locations that we've seen before in other films, right? But them going in the Eiffel Tower was actually like, this is kind of cool. How often do you see a film set, like, where there's a scene in the Eiffel Tower?
Rush Hour 3.
They're going up in the elevator. Okay, I should rephrase. How often do you see a good film set in the Eiffel Tower? Like elevators going up. There's a fight scene, and then there's a secret room at the top, which has, like, a gateway and shit in it.
Yeah.
That was actually...
But that's very specific to ask about how many other films have that.
How often do you see a film where they're at the Eiffel Tower, they're in the elevator, there's a secret gateway, a secret room at the top.
They're all wearing black suits, they have neutralizers. How many films?
Neeson, Chris Hemsworth.
Sorry, but, but that exact scene is what the whole movie should be. That's what Men in Black is. It's two guys who are just cool and confident no matter how dire the circumstances.
Yes.
And they have to be men, because that's what the film's called.
But it's just that they have...
How shitty was that moment where it was like the men and women in black? And it was just like
thumbs up.
It was just like that is such a nothing moment because your film is called Men in Black.
Yeah.
If you had changed the name of your film
to Them in Black,
that would have been fine. Them in Black.
Them in Black.
Us in Black.
Going off that though, into my negative.
Man, I got one or two good things. Anyway,
yeah. My negative is the that it was just so predictable. Like,
Yeah.
pretty much by
Every
that
single
first
step,
scene.
he knew exactly.
I think I said 4 months ago that Liam Neeson was the bad guy
I
in
was
this
like,
movie.
Yeah.
as soon as that first scene happened, I'm like, oh well, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like,
The minute I
that's-
saw Liam Neeson in the trailer and I realized he wasn't one of the main characters, I was like, well, you're not just going to get him to be, like, a
standalone
general
guy,
man
yeah.
in, like, you don't
General
get...
Man. Hello, everybody. I am General Man.
It's me, General
At
Man.
ease.
At ease, soldiers.
But, like,
General.
like, you wouldn't bother getting Liam Neeson if he's not going to be the bad
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
or the main character. So the minute I think I said this, I don't know if I said it on podcast, but I said to you guys ages ago, I'm like, yeah, Liam Neeson will be the bad guy. Who else is ready for this? But,
Yeah, that was probably the biggest downfall where I was just like, well, it's obviously not the end yet. We've got one more scene to go. We've got the scene where Liam Neeson becomes the bad
when
guy
it's
and,
clearly
like,
halfway through the film, they're like, good job, everybody. You
everyone we're
solved-
clapping and we're all
everybody-
done and high fives all around.
Roll the credits, everybody. What are you talking about? We're in a movie. What do you mean? It's existential. Don't worry about it.
All the characters also just made wild leaps that made no sense. Because,
Yeah.
like, there was that moment where, the guy that's making all of the correct decisions through the entire film that isn't Chris Hemsworth, where he goes to the scene of a fight where they killed some royalty from an alien race. Jesus Christ, that's a bad film. And he's just like walking around the site and he's just like, God damn it, Chris Hemsworth, you're such a bad, you're the worst agent we've ever had. And he's standing in the middle of like this apocalyptic scene where these two aliens have just killed like an entire thing. He's like, God damn it, Chris, you had one job. And Chris Hemsworth's standing there and he's like, hey, you weren't here, man. And I was just like, how is this guy annoyed at this agent after he just fought off two aliens that just destroyed this entire street with their bare hands?
Two walking galaxies.
Yeah, they're walking galaxies that just can manipulate matter, and he's like, God damn it, Chris.
Yeah, you really
And
you
it
really
just-
dropped the ball on this
And I
one.
was like, what the hell is happening right now?
Yeah. Negatives. Go.
Oh, I already hit my name. This is my
did you?
blandest,
Bland.
piece of
Bland
grey
biscuit.
piece of shit.
Okay,
I
no.
got a whole bunch.
Yeah. Can
But
I do
my-
one more?
Yeah, man.
I don't know
Chuck
what
it in.
nationality Chris Hemsworth was trying to be.
Yeah, I know.
His
I
accent was like
he's very American and Australian, I guess. From London.
trying to be British.
Yeah.
He's like, with a British accent?
yeah.
He's an Australian New
very odd.
Yorker from London,
Like,
the
oh,
classic.
he's being thought again.
Yeah, his parents moved around a lot.
Yeah.
No, he's been neuralized so many times that he can't
He
remember
just
his
don't
accent.
Yeah. Go K-Dogs, just unleash.
All right, first of all,
Yep.
the one thing that, no matter how bad this movie was, that would have solidified it as being a good movie for me, is if you remember at the end of the first two Men in Black, you maybe don't, Will Smith does a rap. Will Smith
Yeah.
always capped off the Men in Black films with his new Men in Black rap. Yeah, there's that one, and there's another one that's potentially more forgettable, but there's two of them. In the third one, they didn't do
I
it.
agree with the forgettable, yes.
And
Potentially? I don't agree with the word potentially.
but in this,
Definitely more forgettable.
I was like, this movie will be solidified as great if we get a Chris Hemsworth rap at the end. If Chris Hemsworth does a horrible rap with like a bad CGI...
I feel like it'd have to be Tessa Thompson, though, because Tessa Thompson's like the newbie.
No, like either. Both. I don't care. But like if Liam Neeson did it, all I wanted was like an actor that should not rap the end of this
Neeson.
movie. That's
I'm an alien, motherfucker. Oh.
that classic thing Liam Neeson says, motherfucker. He's well known for it.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's his catchphrase, right?
I'm an alien.
Yeah. Give me back my daughter, you motherfucker. Yeah, I remember
But
it now.
it's got like an Irish accent, right?
Motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
I
Not that
am
Irish.
an alien. Motherfucker.
That would have solidified this movie
Yeah.
for me. The other thing is this movie really shat on... it shat
That
on...
was a great emphasis on the word shat.
Yeah.
Oh,
It just-
such perfectly said. This movie really shat.
It just destroyed the lore that made the first two Men in Black films cool.
Yeah.
And the main one is, in the first Men in Black film, Will Smith finds out that the world is about to be destroyed. And he starts freaking out. And Tommy Lee Jones is like, there's always an international, like, there's always going to be a war or a bomb or
The
an alien
world's
that's
always
here to
gonna
destroy
end,
the
yeah.
planet, or someone's here to take over. That's happening every day. That's what we're here for. It's what we handle. We save the world. People don't know about it. Nobody knows we're here. But
That's
you
our
can't
job,
freak
yeah.
out. That's what we do. Every day the planet is about to be destroyed. It's just what we do. And in this one, it's like, I remember those 2 times the world was saved.
Yeah.
We've
Like
got a
the two
painting for
posters.
we've got a painting for each time the Men in Black achieved saving the world. Here's one of them, and the
That's
second
Will
one
Smith.
and the second one is fake.
Yeah.
Like, and then the other thing that I hated along with many things is that character with Porn is his name, Pawny?
Pawny.
Yeah.
Hated it. Anytime they were like, hey, here's a small CGI character who's comic relief and has big eyes. You fucked this up in Phantom Menace. Stop doing it. Stop giving us CGI characters that are there for comic relief and they don't do anything.
That's how I felt.
They're just there to follow your
That's
main
how I felt
characters.
at the start when they were like, "Oh, he's going to come along for the rest of the movie." I'm like, here we go.
I audibly sighed.
He was the only part where I kind of chuckled at.
No,
like,
I nearly killed myself. I hated him.
I think he was necessary for it to be less bland.
But here's the thing.
I think the actor who plays Pawnee is actually a good comedian.
I'm perfectly happy for that character.
It's so good.
But it's clear that they're trying to sell toys with that. Like, I hated that. And also...
It was also just a weird choice. And every time he was on screen, it always felt like, was this a pickup? Did they not have this guy in the film?
Yeah.
And then they put him in? Because it would always be like a close-up of the ground with Pawnee in it. And then and he would just be saying a joke, and it wouldn't reference back to
and then just go back to
that's the thing.
And then there'd be like a cut to where Tessa Thompson's character would be like, "Oh no," and she would like put him in her like pocket or whatever, and then they wouldn't reference him for an entire scene. And the next scene he would pop out of the pocket and say something and pop back in. I felt like it was like a decision they made after they made the film.
They probably had a few like screenings, and everyone's like, "This is so bland." They're like, "Crap, we need a comic relief."
But that's
Make
okay.
a tiny alien. Call it Pawnee.
Yeah.
Get a comedian.
But this is the thing. If you're going to be like, all right, who's a good comedian? Well, Chris Hemsworth is actually doing quite good in the comedy genre right now.
I don't think so.
I think in terms of he did Thor, Ragnarok, and that
I think
really
a big part of that was Taika Waititi, though.
Yeah,
absolutely,
not so much
absolutely
Chris
it was. I do think he's got good comedic chops.
I think Chris Hemsworth is a very charismatic person, but I think in this film they wanted him to do the material. But I think that's where it went wrong, because I think like he could perform any material that's good to him.
I would put him in the same category as The Rock. Like, I don't think The Rock's a very good comedian, but he can do it.
If the material's there, then he can. Yeah.
The point that I'm getting at though is they clearly hired Chris Hemsworth because they wanted him to be versatile within comedy. They were like, we'll write him jokes and we need to pick an actor that can do the jokes well. And then they clearly did that, and at the end went, oh, jokes are shit. We need to write another comic relief character in because all our jokes were crap. Yeah. And so then they added, like, if you're going to...
I think another problem is in the old Men in Black films, they had a straight guy and a comedic guy. But in this film, they had Chris Hemsworth, who was meant to be the senior agent, and he's the comedic guy. And then they had Tessa Thompson, who wasn't really the straight character.
Lisa Simpson of
she
Men in Black.
Still had many jokes, and those... Because she's like the rookie.
You know what
so she wasn't that kind of stern...
I would have preferred
character.
the O, who runs the London branch, to be one of the main characters.
Yeah, Emma Thompson. Yeah,
and then
I thought she ran the New York branch.
The New York branch. But anyway, give me her and Chris Hemsworth, or give me her and Tessa Thompson.
Yeah.
But that way you can still play off.
I think you could even do Liam Neeson and Chris Hemsworth.
Which
Liam
also
Neeson
would have been
do
great.
Like a straight face.
Absolutely,
fine.
you can.
Did you realize how cringy that shot of it was a wide shot of all of the Men in Black agents in London inside the HQ of Men in Black? Did you notice the super cringy wide shot of all of the agents?
It looked like a weird dinner party of extras.
It was 100 white guys, 2 chicks, and 1 black guy, and it was just like, oh, what is this shot? What is this shot? It was one of those moments where it was like, how did, because there wasn't any aliens in there.
Not a lot of diversity.
It was just a wide shot
you're
of
right.
everyone in the Men in Black, and it was 100 white guys, 2 women, and 1 black guy, and no aliens. It was the weirdest shot in this entire film.
I didn't even notice it.
It was so weird and like.
I do remember there being
like,
something off about the shot, but I don't remember.
It was such a weird. I was just
Good
like
point.
in the middle of the cinema. I was just like, what the fuck was that?
Also, each movie should build on the lore of Men in Black. Like, for the first film, we sort of, like, if you remember just the first film by itself, you don't find out...
Kind of like how John Wick builds on the lore and everything.
Yeah, you don't find out...
It's my effort to bring up John Wick in every single podcast.
And I won't fault you for it. It's a fucking good idea.
But,
for the first
John Wick
film...
4, by the way, got a release date. I'm pretty sure it's next year.
Nah, year after.
Oh, really?
2021.
I thought it was 2020. I thought it was end of 2020.
Oh, fuck, it'd be great. I want one of these every 6 months.
Every year.
No.
Every 6 months. Hell yeah.
Addicts. Bloody addicts. The both of you.
The first film mainly shows that there are aliens hidden in the world. Yep. And the second one shows the inner workings of how Men in Black goes and the culture within that. And then the third one shows how secretive everybody can be within the Men in Black and how hard that can be. And then this one does nothing. It doesn't tell us anything new about the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell us anything new about Men in Black.
Except for the dude who made the Eiffel Tower was one of the first Men in Black.
Great. Point is,
Yeah, which also doesn't quite
doesn't make sense. Yeah,
make sense because in the first one,
we find out that Men in Black are a lot older than that. And...
No,
oh no,
because Men in Black
newer than
started with K.
Started with
K was like one of the first
one of the
people.
first. Yeah, good point. So
that doesn't make sense
that
either.
Whole thing. But also for a show primarily based on everybody wearing suits.
Yeah,
they didn't wear
Chris
suits
Hemsworth
enough.
and Tessa Thompson very rarely wear a suit.
Yeah.
I think
this is the last suit
I
you'll
think
ever need.
There's one.
not.
There's one scene where
big
Chris Hemsworth wears a suit and a tie, and for the rest of it, like it starts with him like in a poker game, just wearing some casual clothes. And I get that he's undercover, but you can still wear a suit when you're like
Yeah.
And then for the rest of it, he's wearing like pink pants and an unbuttoned shirt.
Yeah.
And some like shoes with no socks and like. What is this? What's happening? This isn't a Men in Black movie anymore. It's just a shit adventure film with Chris Hemsworth in it.
Yeah.
The alien she saw as a kid was the same alien that was going to kill them. Okay. We should finish this.
Yeah, what the hell?
This is a shitty film. Go see John Wick 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yep. All right, that's what we thought of Men in Black International. Next week, we'll be reviewing
Toy Story
4.
I hope not. Subject to change. I'm gonna put that at the end of this one.
Okay.
Subject to
Subject
change.
to change.
Look, Toy Story Tolkien. We're doing one of those two
Toy
things.
Story or
Tolkien Story
One-
4.
Tolkien for the time he
The
lost
real
him.
Lord of the Rings toy.
There was a third tower.
The toy of the rings. All right, here we go. That'll be next week.
Cast Buzz into the fire. It's a bit dark, but it's...
Thank you for listening to the Film Slice podcast.
Thank
you can
you.
hit us up on Instagram. Don't
Instagram.
worry about
Thank
Twitter.
you. Yeah, we're on
Don't worry about
Instagram.
Twitter.
Facebook. Jordan puts something up
Probably
on
don't
Facebook
worry about
every
Twitter.
single week,
I'm
like
on
the pro
Facebook.
that he is.
Like a pro.
And we're on
I'm a
YouTube and
pro.
SoundCloud and all that jazz if you want to listen to
We're
us
on other
any
things.
device.
Jazz.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for
guys.
listening.
Yeah, thank you.